Hey everybody, what's going on? Bahroo here, back with another Borderlands the pre-sequel video, and today we're going to be taking a look at Nisha and her End Game Skilltree Preview. This is the last of the 4 characters. If you missed any of the other videos, you can check the annotation above, and that will link you to all of the other videos. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into Nisha and what she has to offer. Now this skill tree centers around using pistols as well as elemental Vladov pistols for maximum damage. The best way to play Nisha is to go for as many kill skills as possible and never letting the enemy have a chance to fire back at you. She does not have much in the way of health regeneration, so she relies on your ability to dodge fire as well as just taking out the enemy as quickly as possible. So first off, we've got Showdown, which has a variety of buffs for it. Now, its base duration is 6 seconds, the cooldown being 16 seconds. Very short cooldown. And while you're in this, you will automatically aim at enemies. Your gun damage will be increased by 42%, fire rate by 25%, reload speed by 125%, accuracy will slightly go up by 15%, and then you've got a 15% or 50% bullet speed increase. Now, this bullet speed increase is very nice for things like an 88 Fragnum, as this will make it so even if you're fighting enemies at a slight distance that like to strafe side to side, similar to, say, buzzards in Borderlands 2, you won't have an issue hitting them. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and go down the Fan the Hammer skill tree. So as I was saying, we want to focus on kill skills here, so first thing we pick up is Saddle Up. This will increase your movement speed and your gun damage for a short time. This short time again is 10 to 15 seconds. The movement speed increase is nice as it will help you get from enemy to enemy, and the gun damage is also nice. Any damage increase is a benefit to Nisha. She wants as much damage as you can get. Imagine her as Salvador, as if she wasn't boring though. Next up, we've got Ruthless. Kills made during Showdown extend the duration. Now there's a skill down here that increases your damage the longer you're in Showdown, so we naturally want to pick this up to increase the duration. Every enemy that you kill is going to increase your duration by a half a second, so if you kill 2, that's an additional second. And there may be a class mod down the line that actually increases this effect to 11 out of 5, giving you a 1.1, but that's not confirmed yet. So even if you can't get a class mod for it, 0.5 is a lot, considering the enemy density is a lot higher in the pre-sequel. And there are, I think there's Kragan enemies that in the game that when you kill them, they split off into more, which is just perfect for Nisha, as she'll kill the main one, and then the 2 lesser ones that it spawns off, just refilling her action skill. And even if you do lose your Showdown, it's a 16-second cooldown. That is not a very long amount of time. Now we go ahead and bypass Bottled Courage because I don't really find it that useful, as well as Magnificent 6 since we're going to be focusing on elemental guns here. Next we've got Short Fuse. This is yet another kill skill. After killing an enemy, all your shots deal bonus explosive damage for a short time. The closer you are to the enemy, the higher your damage, and this goes up to 35% weapon damage as explosive damage. So if you're right next to an enemy, this is simply a flat 35% increase in damage over everything else. So if you're hitting for 100, you're going to hit for 100 plus 35, or whatever your gun damage is plus 35%, which is another reason we want to get Saddle Up to get closer to the enemy. Now we go ahead and we can go into Pickpocket. That's really up to you. The reason I don't go into this one is because I want to keep constantly reloading for a skill that's later down the tree. So next up we have Faster Than You, yet another kill skill. Killing an enemy greatly improves your reload speed, weapon swap speed, and fire rate for a short duration. 35% on each of these attributes, and the reload speed and the fire rate are nice as they are starting to make your reload speed basically non-existent. You are going to constantly be firing, which is good. The fire rate is also good because, as I said, this is going to synergize with mostly Vladov gear. You could also use this with Malawan. It's really up to you. We'll see what all other things have to offer. Dahl, I'm pretty sure, is still going to have the If you're not aiming down sights, you can just basically fire it as fast as you want already, so I don't think that'll benefit too much from that. But yeah, mostly a Vladov pistol build. And that's not to say that you can't use other guns. I mean, the only reason that I'm using Vladov pistols is because of the capstone, one for each of you, which is when using a pistol, you gain an exact copy of that gun in your offhand. While using iron sights, you shoot with your main hand only. Now, if you're not a fan of pistols, that's not to say you can't use them. All of these skills that you've seen so far work just fine. These work just fine with using any other gun in the game. Just focus mostly on pistols for this specific skill. So if you're trying to do your maximum damage, obviously you want to use pistols with Nisha. Next up we have High Noon. You gain bonus damage the longer you're in Showdown. So the base duration of Showdown is 6 seconds, but obviously the last second you're not going to get your final hit off. So 15% gun damage per second. So that means that you're going to be looking at 75%, I believe, yeah, 75% gun damage on the last second of your Showdown, or more, depending on how long you've been chaining enemies. And this is why I said that if there is a class mod that buffs the Ruthless skill, you're going to be able to get a ridiculous amount of damage from High Noon, depending on how long you stay in it. So that is the Fan the Hammer skill tree. I hope you all enjoyed this. Let's go ahead and go over the rifle weaponry. Also, you'll notice that we have 1 skill point left over here, so you can throw it into anything else that you find you want to put the last point into. If you want to put it into pickpocket, go for it. So a few of the other skills in the Fan the Hammer is the Showdown, or the Gunslinger. When you activate Showdown, you instantly reload a bullet, which I don't find that useful. 1 bullet. Yeah. 1 bullet. Anyway, Hell's coming with me. After reloading or reaching maximum clip via pickpocket, for a short duration, your gun has a chance to fire twice. It's a very low percentage chance, and I really didn't find the need to waste points on it. Anyway, next up we've got Snapshot. When firing from the hip, you gain dramatically increased accuracy and recoil reduction. This is really nice considering that if you're using one for each of you, you are always hip firing. You never aim down sights with that, so it makes sense to go immediately into Snapshot. Also, the hip fire accuracy was greatly increased in the pre-sequel in general for all characters. So next up we have Bonafide Grit, another kill skill. Killing an enemy grants you bonus critical damage and health regeneration for a short time. This is an extra 35% crit damage, and you will be regenerating 2% of your maximum health per second. Now, this is what I said by Nisha does not have too much in the way of health regeneration. She focuses mostly on killing the enemy before it can hurt her. There is another skill that we picked up in the Law and Order to slightly help with this, but overall this is where your passive health regeneration is going to come from. So you want to keep this skill up as much as possible. Next we've got Unchained. Shooting an enemy grants you increased fire rate with all gun types. A stack of Unchained can only be gained once per second. All stacks are lost if you don't shoot enemies for 10 seconds. So you gain an additional 5% fire rate per stack, giving you 105% fire rate if you have all of your stacks, which is a lot of fire rate when you consider what you already have going with you, with Showdown, with Faster Than You, and with Unchained. Your pistols are going to be firing very fast, or whatever you want to use is going to be firing very fast. And it's also not that hard to keep up. It's not something you really have to pay attention to. Obviously you're going to lose it going from area to area, but it's not that difficult to keep up. Next up, we've got Quick Shot. After reloading, which is why I said I didn't want to go into pickpocket, after reloading, for a short duration, you gain increased gun damage and fire rate, because you need more of that, when shooting from the hip, which again is another reason to go into Snapshot. So when firing from the hip, you gain increased gun damage and fire rate after a reload, short duration again being 10 to 15 seconds, so Another reason to be using one for each of you is the you're always hip firing, so you might as well get some bonuses for it. Just a nice little gun damage and fire rate bonus here. So, really good stuff there. Next up we have Fistful of Bullets. This is just a small increase that I decided to pick up. Doesn't really hurt you. If you want to bypass it and throw it somewhere else, you can, but this is what we're going with. Next is Fistful of Bullets. Just increases your magazine size with all gun types. And because it doesn't disclude launchers, yes. Just, yes. Yes, it does. Impatience. Killing an enemy grants you a stack of impatience, increasing your reload speed by 20% for each stack. All of these stacks are lost after reloading. Stacks go up to 21 times. So obviously you're never really going to hit 21 stacks. This is just a nice little reload buff that you can get in between your reloads. Vladof can have very high magazine size if you find the right parts on them. Like sometimes, like I'd say somewhere around 40 to 50 if you can get the perfect parts on it. So you can get a lot of kills with those 40 to 50 bullets and just have a near instant reload, especially if you're already in Showdown. I can imagine you can get somewhere around 260% reload speed with all of the buffs that you've already got going for you. So this pretty much just amplifies the whole reloads are non-existent portion. So now we have a bunch of skills that I really didn't find all that necessary. Next one is Tombstone, a kill skill, but after killing an enemy, all hits have a chance to count as critical hits for a short time. Now, I didn't get a chance to test if critical hits would count as a double critical. If that's true, then this build will change. However, I highly doubt it. What it ended up doing is just making body shots have a small percent chance to become a crit anyway. I didn't find that useful considering Showdown already aims for the head. Yeah, not much use out of this skill. Next up we have Trick Shot. Your bullets that hit walls or other objects have a chance to ricochet off towards a nearby enemy. Now the ricochet chance is very low and the bullet damage honestly is not hurt too much, but again, your action skill already aims towards the enemy and has great accuracy. This skill is not that great. We've got Crack Shot, which is a nice ability to have for other guns. If you want to put points into this, go ahead. You know what? We're going to put our last point in there. The first shot fired from a fully loaded magazine causes bonus damage. Now, this does not have any restrictions on it. It does improve rocket launcher damage. So if you want to throw extra points in here rather than somewhere else, go ahead and go for that. Crack Shot is definitely a good shot, or a good thing to have if you're using sniper rifles, shotguns, rocket launchers, but considering this mostly focuses on assault rifles, which are fixed by the way, and pistols, it's not really that useful that I find. You know what, I'm just gonna put you right there. Right, you know, yeah, we're just gonna put you right there. That's where that stays. If you've been watching this long, just say trick shot point, man. Trick shot point. Anyway, Hot Lead is another one. Your criticals with non-elemental guns deal additional incendiary damage with a high chance of igniting enemies. The damage of the incendiary and ignite damage is based on your weapons, on your gun's damage. Now, the reason I didn't pick this up is because, one, we already focus on elemental guns, and this only is going to benefit Jacob's weaponry. I do like the fact that this is there are skills that benefit only Jacob's guns on Nisha, because, as we all know it, Jacobs needs a little bit of love. But unfortunately, those elemental bonuses and effects are just too good. Also, considering you're going to be in a no oxygen environment for the majority of the game, relying on a fire dot that's not going to take effect is not something I want to do. Throwing that out there. Yeah. Anyway, for our capstone, we have the Unforgiven. During Showdown, all shots that hit enemies ricochet towards nearby enemies, dealing 10% of the weapon damage per hit. Also, Showdown ending triggers an explosion on all enemies that have been shot by you. This explosion will pretty much one-shot any full health, non-badass enemy. It's that good. So your main priority when you're in Showdown is just make sure you get a shot on everything, because you're probably going to kill all of them if you didn't already. So just a nice little send off to anything that you wounded. It does do significant damage to badasses, as it should be considering it is a capstone. Looking at you, Scorn. So yeah, definitely pick this up considering you're already shooting all the enemies, and the little bit of ricochet damage is nice. It's only 10%, but the real reason you want that is because it will proc on other enemies to become an explosion. So now we have 1 point that we threw in the Law and Order tree, and every time you take damage, every time you take 15% of your maximum health in damage, you gain a stack of order. Based on your order stacks, you have a chance to instantly heal for double the damage taken. And what this does is gives Nisha a little bit of some health regeneration. Not really health regeneration, and more of maybe she won't take damage. Not something you can really rely on, as I said, but it's just a nice little buff to have. No reason to not pick it up considering it is passive. So that is pretty much going to wrap it up for Nisha and her in-game skill tree. Let me know what you guys think of this. Let me know if you agree with it. Tomorrow I'm going to be launching a new series leading up to the pre-sequel, going over a lot of things that we have learned at PAX and all of that good stuff. This is going to wrap it up for the in-game skill trees. I look forward to putting this into practice and maybe moving some skills around at the end and messing around with the class mods. I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to hit that like button, help support me in what I do. And don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for future Borderlands pre-sequel videos. I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, later.